You're worried about that, but I've seen you guys in your age group. You will eat raw cookie dough. I'm just gonna eat raw. How many of you eat raw cookie dough and enjoy it? Okay. Okay. Well, that's a salmonella nightmare. All right. Well, I'm Mr. Waldman, and what I enjoy, or I should say, I am a teacher, obviously, here at Berkley High School. Been here for 21 years. I think it's kind of interesting and also maybe a little strange and unusual to some people that I was a Berkley High School graduate. So I spent 4 years of my life in this building before I actually even got here as a teacher. The gavel. It's really called a gavel, but you'll have a gavel.
I signed up for practical law because I've known Mr. Waldman since my freshman year, and I never got to take a class with him, and this one seemed like the one that I was most interested in. He seems very passionate about all the classes that he's teaching, and he's very hands-on, and he makes sure all students are on board with whatever he's doing. He has examples for everything. He's always very patient, and he really seems like he cares about the material, and he cares that all the students know the material because he knows everyone in that room chose to take that class. Everyone wants to learn about what he's teaching.
Know the truth. You can't do that, but he's going to be extra polite, and I just want you to walk up to a witness and say something along the lines of, can you please tell the court where you were the night of the 5th? I always enjoyed working with young adults and kids in summer camp settings, coaching capacities, whether it be coaching track and field. When I was 18, I was hired for my first coaching job at North Middle School. I was actually, I was bragging about it because I was the youngest coach in the history till last year of this district. They had never hired a newly turned 18-year-old to coach an entire team. My students are my motivation. It sounds a little cliche, it sounds a little like it's a scripted answer. It's not. I feed off their energy. I know I'm 50 years old, turning 50. I know I'm not as young, I may not be as hip, I might not know all the same lingo as they know and the same music, but I appreciate them, and when they come in each day, they're teaching me stuff. I'm learning from them. Selfishly, I've got the greatest job in the world. It keeps you young because it keeps you in that loop. And while you don't want to try to be younger than you really are because you can run the risk of injury, as I sometimes say, it's fantastic to be able to come to a job every day where you can honestly say and truthfully say, I love what I do.
Mr. Waldman, I mean, aside from just being a great teacher, he sets a great example for how you should do any job in general. How he seems very dedicated, he's always very prepared, and even though he obviously knows all the material, and students don't, that's why it's his job to teach, because we don't know the material. He's always very patient with us, and he's just very passionate about what he does. And I think if anyone's passionate about what they do as much as Waldman is about what he teaches, anyone can be successful.
He could be being, or he or she could be being sued. They're trying to defend themselves. Excellent. And then the prosecutor is the person who is the... We all have rough, bad days, but can I tell you, we have a fantastic administration, a great teaching staff. I work with wonderful people, but if I'm ever getting aggravated, 70 to 80% of the time, it's not from my students. It would definitely be from, and when I say aggravated, it would be, oh, I got a meeting, but then I got to go to another type of a meeting, and then I've got to get this lesson plan done for tomorrow, and then I'm getting pulled maybe into 6 different directions, and creating the balance is what makes things sometimes aggravating or difficult. But the funny part is, for me personally, the least part of my aggravation, if there were any to my job, would come from my students, which is, I'm glad I can say that, but you know, I teach in a school where we're lucky to have a strong student base, so it obviously helps quite a bit. Commitment, once again, in one word, it's follow through. Okay? It's dependability. It's starting a task and finishing that task, not leaving it somewhere between. And if that might mean, hey, if I'm helping a student, I want to make sure they understand something from the beginning to the end.
it's easy at times to get caught up with 130, 140, 150 students. You get into something with a student, but then you don't finish it off with them because you got so many in the raw numbers alone, the sheer raw numbers alone in size. It's of the magnitude, it's huge to try to help everyone, but it is so important when you get into something and start it, to that commitment to finish it. So when they look at me with their eyes, I know they understand what that assignment is, what that project is. If I'm coaching, it's the same thing. I want to make sure that I and that player are on the same page at the beginning, but also at the end. And that's how I see commitment from an educator standpoint, even though you can use that word in so many different, properties as far as through life.
Mr. Waldman's just an all-around great person. He treats everyone with respect, and really, people say treat others the way you want to be treated, and he exemplifies that probably more so than most people that I know. He's just always taking into account what other people are feeling, what's going on in other people's lives. He takes into account whenever he's assigning things, like that we have other classes and we have extracurriculars, and he knows that it's hard for us, and he does a great job accommodating everyone. And he's always just so positive about everything. Like whenever anyone walks in the room, it's just like a positive aura, and everyone's just really happy, and he makes learning fun, and he's a great teacher.
Visualization, or that technique that I've used and talked about, helps you to see the end result of something before you've done it. I will actually tell my students, I know you might be in 9th grade now, 10th grade, 11th, maybe you're a senior. I want you to picture yourself in a cap and gown, sitting at a graduation ceremony, senior year, completed with senior year in college. I used to drive down to school every day, and no matter how good or how bad a day may have been, at the university I attended, I kept visualizing myself, my parents watching me, knowing that there was an end. And by visualizing this technique, I've had students come back and say, it really helps, it really works. You can use it in athletics, you can use it in your personal life, you can use it in education. But these are the types of things that I know if I can bring to the table for our students, it can really make a difference. And it's a cliche term once again, but how many teachers wouldn't want to make a difference or an impression or an impact on the students that they have? That's why we got into this gig and this job in the first place. I feel that I earn a fair wage for what I do. I feel I have a great job. But when I took this job, I knew I was never going to become a millionaire. But maybe my intrinsic value, the money that someone else might be getting because they run and own a law firm, which I have great respect for, obviously, and things of this nature. Maybe my money and my intrinsic value is getting to see the success of my students and what they go on to do, and the success of our athletes. And if they get a scholarship, fantastic. And if they don't, if they've improved, then bingo, it's a win-win. So yeah, selfishly, it's a pretty cool gig. It's a pretty cool job.